Are you all able to see the screen?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, we are recording. Morning. I am Natasha Parks, and I'm the Family and Consumer Sciences Agent with the University of Florida FCS Extension. Thank you so much for joining this session on Family Consumer Sciences Agents working with farmers and community partners. Today, I want to tell you about two approaches in which I work with farmers to bring these local affordable foods to community partner clients. So this approach really started with the Family Nutrition Program, which is the nutrition education program for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program for the state of Florida at IFAS. And this program has a regional public health coordinator. Her name is Catherine Hart, and she's the one for my district, which is Northeast District. She had a connection with a farmer who wanted to sell their products to seniors. So they kind of started this pilot program at a senior center in the low income area. As the FCS agent, I heard about the program and I asked to be a part of it because, with the family nutrition program, it's a little bit more limited than what I can do as an agent throughout the whole county. So this right here, I hope you can see me circling. This is the director of the senior home. These two are the farmers, and this is the FNP, which is the Family Nutrition Program Assistant. So they had this urban folk farm, and they basically brought the vegetables and all the different produce to the facility. The director actually took the order, and then they distributed to her clients. This team consisted of a small farms agent, a public health specialist, and an agribusiness development specialized agent. We basically schedule a meeting to discuss how we can expand this particular program. We came up with the title Farm to Community. The idea was we would reach out to community partners, which are not always low-income audiences. The small farm agent and regionalized specialists would reach out to the farmers and promote the program as a training to meeting the consumers where they are to provide affordable produce. In the next couple of slides, we're going to share the data on how the program could benefit the community and the partners and the farmers. I basically promoted the program as a produce drop-off site for community partners. During the training, we kind of explained the situation in Duval County from the farmer and the community partners' perspective, as you see on the slide. We kind of all know about food insecurity, food inequality, and stagnant customer base, as well as new market costs. So in Duval County, we have more urban farms than we have commercial farms. So many of the farmers sell their product at schools and restaurants and farmers markets, which I'm quite sure you all are familiar with. We basically shared that data on geographical areas of SNAP recipients. We explained that traditionally speaking in our county, many lower income audiences do not frequent farmers markets. You would think that they do, but they really don't here in Duval County. So potentially the farmer can increase their sales in these communities. So I just displayed a few of the communities in our area, and you see those, the rate for Brentwood, which is 43.7%. That's pretty high of a SNAP audience. We also discussed during the training the area of the needs within the Duval area. So we had this map that just really basically shared the low income and low accessibility, and there's about 53,100 households in Duval County who are on food stamps or what you call a SNAP. So we displayed the 8 areas of need within the county, and then we explained how the program can work for all parties. As you see on this slide, we have 3 players in this program. We have the producer, the site champion, and the community members. And this is how we came up with this whole farm to community idea. We shared the benefits from the community partners and to state that we can remove some of those barriers to food access by bringing the food to the people. So that whole notion of meeting people where they are, that's kind of how we apply this. The community partners can provide a positive and a healthy behavior service to their clients. by adding that fresh produce and supplement with cooking demonstrations and recipe cards. So as you see with these benefits for the community partner, it's about food access, it's about community well-being, and it's about marketing to their clients. This will all make sense in a minute when I give you some other examples of how this actually worked. So then we shared the benefits of the farmer and told them that they can potentially expand their client base by offloading their excess product and by signing up with EBT equipment, which can allow them to increase their sales. So those benefits really is about the potential reach, offloading some of their surplus, and that market link savings. That's basically the equipment that they use for EBT. So during the time of the training, Feeding Florida, which is one of our nonprofits here, they were providing a grant to offset the cost of the EBT equipment for farmers to sign up. So they were going to get a savings of $629 in startup fees for this particular equipment, which we thought was a benefit and a benefit to this program. We wanted farmers to sell $20 $10 bags of produce to clients of community partners. So the community partner would coordinate the orders, the delivery, and the pickup for the bags. If the farmer signed up for EBT equipment in the Fresh Access Bucks program, the SNAP recipient would pay $2.50 to $5 for a bag of produce, and anyone else would pay $10. The farmer would then receive reimbursement of the discounted price with the 24 hours from Feeding Florida. So I'm not sure if you all have this in your area. I'm quite sure you do. But basically, they had coupons associated with it. So if you had a SNAP payment, if you paid with SNAP benefits, you would pay like half of it. If you had the coupon, you will pay a little bit less. So it's pretty interesting. So our participants really consisted, and I'm talking about the training, of half of the farmers and half were community partners. So when they came in, we provided everyone with name tags to indicate if they were a farmer or a community partner. And the next step was to determine which farmer was interested in this program and pair them with a community partner in one of the identified areas. So after the training, there was a network session. So if you look in this picture, literally on the left-hand side, all of them were farmers, and on the right side, they were community partners. It just kind of fell that way. It was kind of interesting, to be honest. And I don't know if they thought because of their name tags, they should sit on one side, but that's pretty much how it worked out. So during the networking session, the farmers introduced themselves and set up a plan for those next steps. So, unbeknownst to us, one of the participants actually had a mobile market. And I thought this was pretty awesome, and this was the person in the training. So I was able to connect all of those farmers to sell their products to this mobile vendor who had the veggie bus. I had a meeting with the community partners to create a schedule of optimal times for the veggie bus to sell the products at a reduced price. So one of the participants, which was a community partner, was our YMCA. And they wanted to have the veggie bus to come to their locations, like 2 of their locations, as a pilot to see if this was going to work. So we scheduled them at those optimal times when the seniors were actually coming out of their physical activity class. So they might have a class at 9 o'clock that was going to go until 10 o'clock. So we would set up at 10 o'clock. So that's when the veggie bus came out. The seniors absolutely loved it. As you can see in the picture, them going through the bus, as you see on both sides, it has the names of the items. We actually featured different farmers on another section that you actually can't see in the picture, but it was a huge success. So what I did was utilize my interns to get the veggie bus set up and create recipes for the produce and provide nutrition education. We also utilized the family nutrition program assistants to do this as well. The Veggie Bus coordinator and myself met with other community partners and farmers to create a schedule of different sites and farmers to pick their products. We wrote a grant for the program to expand. Although we didn't receive the grant, our pilot program farmer that I mentioned in the first couple of slides did receive the block grant from Florida Blue. And it was pretty amazing. Even though we didn't receive the money to do this, they did. So, as you know, then COVID hit. The Veggie Bus was not operational during COVID, which was very unfortunate. So, our second approach to farmer community was initiated by one of the farmers in the training, and they received funding from Florida Blue. So, she reached out to me to create a produce delivery program in which participants paid $5 for $20 worth of fresh local produce. Now, during this time, many of our farmers were dumping excess produce, and our seniors were not going to grocery stores to purchase produce. So I reached out to community partners from the training who participated in the training, and from my contact list, and from the Family Nutrition Program contact list. I asked them if they were interested, and they agreed to attend a training to learn more information. So many of the community partners and a hospital wanted to be a part of this program. And as you can see the flyer in the slide. So the program had three focus areas: the farmers providing the product, the area champions, which were volunteers promoting the product, and we also had site champions. All of these organizations wanted to be a part of the program, so they acted as volunteers. Meaning the area champions promoted to their area town and their clients. And then we had groups with convenience stores and church leaders who wanted to be a part of it. So the site champions, which were volunteers, they agreed to transport door to door. So the farmer was responsible for creating a food hub. Farmers in the area delivered the product to the pack house and was paid from the grant funding. This happened on a weekly basis, and there was initially enough money for 8 weeks. Sorry about that. So as the FCS agent, I trained the volunteers, created Microsoft form orders, arranged delivery and pickup for the volunteers. We had weekly meetings as to how it was going to work. Of course, due to COVID, the local farmer was in the adjacent town, the adjacent county. So it took them about 45 minutes to bring all of the product. And then we had all the site champions loaded up in their cars, and then they would deliver door to door. As I mentioned earlier, the funding was initially for 8 weeks, and this expanded to 30 consecutive weeks. So from March of last year, we were averaging 200 produce bags a week, and this increased to about 700 bags a week until this past December. Local food pantries participating in the program continued until June 2021, and they were ordering the bags directly from the pack house and delivering to food pantries. The Veggie Bus is now operational since April 21. My dietetic interns continue to provide recipes and assist with the promoting of the veggie truck. The farmers are continuing to sell their products to the Veggie Bus. The operations are back to the initial farm to community plan. And next week, we will start the program again for the next 8 weeks because we also receive funding. So I know this was a lot of different parts, and you might have questions, but I appreciate you attending this session. And if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and we can discuss a little further.
Good morning. This is Patricia Lomax from Virginia, the FCS agent, SNAP. My question is, how did you solicit the farmers? And were there any farmers that did not want a part initially?
So that's a great question. So the farmer that participated in the initial training already had a food hub, they call it a farmer hub. So they were dealing with probably about 5 counties at that time who were offloading their products. So Basically, the farmers harvest and they go to one spot, which was this particular farmer's location, and then they distribute it to the different sources. Does that answer your question, Bertil?
It does. Thank you. Because as a child, I remember back then the mobile trucks would travel from community to community with fruits and vegetables from their gardens and from their fields. So we're getting back to that again, and we see a need for that in the communities that we service. And thank you so much.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question? Did you think this was interesting or a different way to approach local?
I have a couple questions, Natasha.
Sure.
Like who is in charge of the truck, and like who collects the funding for that? Is that like an independent farmer, or who's responsible for that?
Now, are you talking about the veggie truck
Yeah, the
or?
veggie truck.
Okay, so the veggie truck was purchased from a grant through the Boys and Girls Club. So they already had their own funding, but they just received the grant. They just hired someone to start the program. So by us being able to provide them with all of the fresh local produce, now they were going to a farmer's market to receive their food and paying for that. But our farmers market, this particular location, it's not local farming. It's really distributed from a warehouse that's not local. So when she found out that we had this program and we had access to all of these local farmers, she was purchasing directly through her grant funds to purchase the produce from the farmers. Does that make sense, Evelyn?
Yeah, so the truck, so like the insurance and all that is through the Boys and Girls Club. Like
Correct.
they drive the truck and they do all the like so they're the ones that drive from place to place. It's the Boys and Girls Club, right?
Correct. So they had one staff person who actually does a lot of the transportation for their students. And this person was working part time to assist. And as you saw in the picture, it was basically a city bus retrofitted, right? Now, of course, you need to have a certain license to do that. So we found out, well, they found out that they were running into problems as far as the truck, the veggie bus working and the driver being available. So the director was getting a little frustrated. So they no longer have that large veggie bus. They have a smaller one in which the director has a regular license to be able to drive.
Okay, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
I have a question, Natasha.
Sure.
This is such an interesting program, and I'd love to be able to do it in our county. Our issue is that our farmers are a little bit further away, and when we've tried to have them be in a program like this, it's not monetarily, it's not enough money for them to be able to participate for what partners and participants buy from them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any thoughts about how to help that or interact with less farmers? Or it's just they're interested in it and the participants are interested in it, it's just not enough funding?
Yeah, I think grants they're definitely needed to support this program because really the concept was the farmers already provide their product to restaurants, schools. At that time, schools weren't operational, so they had an excess of product that they need to offload, right? But in any typical situation, if the farmer is providing produce to different entities or organizations, they still usually have leftover product. So it wouldn't be too much of an expense for them to offload the rest of it because they're already getting the majority of their funding from other sources. I'm not sure if that really answered your question, but that's what my understanding of the process is after dealing with them. But definitely grants are needed. Did anyone else have any questions? Do you like the program? Is it something you want to implement? I think the key for the FCS agent is really about stretching food dollars and having that access to local, fresh, affordable produce. Because a $5 bag of produce, paying $5 for $20 worth of produce is pretty beneficial. Some of our seniors were getting bags every other week because they couldn't consume all of it in a week. But for a family of 4, they were getting quite a few meals out of that bag. Are there any other questions? I know this was a shorter one. It was a lot of pieces, but I felt like people had a lot of questions because of all the working parts to it.
I like it, Natasha. I'm excited about what you're doing. So yeah, so like because we have a program that we're kind of running in Southern Arizona, and it sparked a lot of thoughts of how we can do things in our county. So thank you for putting this forward.
Awesome.
It's a new way of doing things, and I'm glad that that you're doing some innovative things to get access out to the different areas. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. My email address is in the chat box if anyone wants to reach out, because I know they're probably tired or need some coffee this morning or don't have any questions, but it looks like we do have a question in the chat box. Was there in a collaboration with your ag agent as well? Yes. So we had let me go back to that screen. We had a regional specialized agent. We had a family nutrition program public health coordinator. We had the small farms agent and then the FCS agent, myself, in collaboration. So we did a lot of planning, make sure that what we were doing was correct, that these farms were already certified and, operational. So yes, thank you, Jennifer, for that question. Tony says she'd love it looking into something like this for our community, and this sparked some great ideas and great pictures. Thank you, Tony. Which state are you in?
I'm sorry, I'm in Southern Illinois. So we actually have an online farmers market that is not able to accept SNAP EBT. Because of the way Illinois structures SNAP. And so they're looking for a creative way to be able to offer some of their products through a community bus or van or community distribution.
Awesome. Just make sure if they do get the funding to purchase a veggie bus, that it's a more modern one. So you won't have any mechanical issues, or at least have a mechanic that works on that particular vehicle.
Yeah, and we've also talked, I know you mentioned specialized license. We're looking at other vehicles that maybe don't require that specialized license. So it might be just a little bit smaller, but maybe more accessible to look at other people being able to drive it.
Correct, yeah. Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for joining this session. I will stay on, and I'm going to stop the recording now. If you have any questions,